Hi, Ingrid.
Hey, all right, so let's get started. So, hello everyone, good afternoon or morning or evening, depending on where you are, and welcome to today's webinar. We are very happy to have you with us. So, in case you guys are not familiar with me, my name is Ingrid Velasquez. I'm the head of content and marketing for Folio, and with me, of course, is Huibin Yu, our head of product. Hello, Huibin.
Hi, Ingrid, and also hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Awesome. So today we are talking about the new features that we have recently rolled out and how you can use them to improve your various workflows. And we're also going to be giving you a preview of what we have planned for the next few months. And of course, we have a question and answer session at the end.
Right. Yeah, very exciting stuff we are rolling out. And first of all, going to cover different ways of make the data input much faster, check version changes, and also for those who are doing budget plannings and procurements and how you can efficiently allocate your budgets by area and divisions, track large orders with multiple invoices and shipments. And also at the end, our new dashboard UI for you to organize the data across different part of the workflow with the new group by function. So Ingrid, why don't you take us through the faster data edits and highlights?
I will do so. Thank you. All right, let me just switch to the screen. All right, so I wanted to tell you about the changes that we've made in order to make, like Quebian said, data editing faster and also easier to track. So a few elements for that. First, we have bulk edit. And with bulk edit, you can now take multiple items and change the column data all at once. So for example, I'm selecting these items. Actually, let me move to another project. All right, so selecting these items, let's say go to edit and then bulk edit. And then I'm going to assign them to a supplier that we've chosen to purchase from. Alternatively, I can also click remove content if I want to start over, and it will delete all of the information that is currently in the columns. Now, besides assigning suppliers in bulk like I'm doing right now, you can also use this feature to, let's say, add some generic notes that apply to multiple items or mark products that you've submitted to the client for approval. And the second thing I wanted to show you guys is highlighting. And this is useful for when you want to draw attention to changes you've made. So for example, let's say the quantities for an item changed and you want to make sure that a team member sees it. So you just go to edit, click highlight cells, and then click on all of the cells that you want to highlight. And if you want to remove all of the highlights, you just do the same thing and click on the highlighted cells. Alternatively, if you want to remove all of them, then you just click clear all highlights, and then you click done when you are finished. Super easy. And last but not the least for this section, you can now move from one cell to another just by using your arrow keys. You can go up and down, left and right. And that is it for faster data editing. And I'm now turning it over to Huibin, who's going to tell us about what we're doing to speed up data loading. Huibin?
Thank you so much, Ingrid. I'm definitely a big fan, especially the bulk edit, because now we can really change any information within just like a couple of clicks without have to do it cell by cell. And then as you all can see, we are adding more functionalities on the site, and we are also having a lot of new users joining us, running bigger projects with larger data sets. So our servers has been at capacity sometimes, especially when there are a lot of users online. Therefore, our backend developer has been working on adding new servers to the site, as well as moving some large like report generation, those kind of actions to a separate server, so that we can make sure that all the data can be loaded at the proper speed, as many users as possible when they're working together on the site. So please bear with us, and I'm sure that you will see some enhancements in the coming weeks. And that being said, we also have a few new features help our users managing the whole end-to-end process, starting with allocating budgets. And Ingrid, can you show us a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. So we rolled out cost analysis a few weeks ago. And before we did that, you could set an overall budget for your project like this right here. And you could also see how much you're spending per area or division. But now with cost analysis, you can set budgets in a much more specific manner. And here's what I mean by specific. So if I go into cost analysis for this project, for example, I'm able to type in how much I'm allowed to spend for each iteration of the lowest sublayers. In other words, I can take, let's say, this type of bathroom and say I'm budgeting $6,000 for it, for each bathroom of this type. And from here, cost analysis will automatically multiply and add up your budget. So if I'm working on a hotel, for example, like I'm doing right here, and I have 12 multiples of bathroom 1, cost analysis will multiply that for me and add it to my other areas. And as you can see, you'll also be able to view your subtotals, and right up here at the top is where you have your grand total. And the nice thing about this is that it allows you to more easily allocate your budget to, let's say, the concierge or other front areas of the or other front of the house areas, instead of like baggage rooms. And you can do other things that will increase your property value. And then to the right of your planned budget column, you'll also see your other pricing related columns, and you can compare those to each other. So for example, I'm seeing here that my allowance for the ground floor is 3.7 million. My suppliers have already invoiced me for almost 2.1 million, and my client has paid out $50,000 so far. And it's a great way to keep track of where my funds are so far, and if I'm close to running out, and if I need more. And then something else that's really handy here is if you set an overall budget for your project in the beginning. So you can see that here, and that'll be a helpful reminder to not go over budget, because you can compare that here to your actual planned budget. And speaking of going over budget, let's go back to our dashboard. And if you look at the organizer, here to the left these are the numbers for your planned budget, right? And then to the right is a pricing related column of your choice that you want to look at. So right now I'm looking at client price, and in this project, client price means the amount that my client has to pay. And I can see here that I'm already over budget for this area because the number here is red. And because of that warning, I can go in and either cut down on my purchases or speak with the client and see if they're willing to spend more. And I can do all of that before actually spending anything. And so that is cost analysis. We've also made it much easier to manage and track multiple shipments and invoices in large orders. And here is Huipin to show us how.
Sure, let me take over and start sharing my screen. Ingrid, can you stop sharing so I can share mine?
Yep, just a second.
Thank you.
All right.
Can you see my screen?
I can see your screen.
All right, perfect. So for those who has started use our new procurement module, we have done some great enhancements on it, particular for if you have a large projects and sometimes you need to order arrange shipments for the same item multiple times. Now you can attach multiple supply invoices or multiple shipment trackings into the same purchase order. For example, on this PO, I can attach 2 invoices from the suppliers and also link 3 client invoices I've built, and you can add the tracking with a lot more details than you previously could. So for example, if I look at my new tracking, for shipment statuses, we added a few important fields. So not only you have estimated ship days and actual ship date, you can also add estimated delivery days and day receipt, as well as how many items you would receive, or you have received actually, in this particular shipments. And then all those information will feed back to your dashboard so that you can check on the itemized level, how many items you plan to order, how many you actually order, as well as different PO attached in those orders, and how many you have received. And all those different statuses, you can see both on a documentation like the purchase order or invoice or shipment packing list level. You can also see it in your May project dashboard on an itemized level. So with our program covering more and more different part of the workflow, we also want to improve the way that you guys can organize your data. So we are going to roll out a new interface with a function for you to group your data by different parameters. For example, when I'm working in the specification phase and I want to see the items by area, besides you can click on individual areas through the area planner, you can also use this new group by function, which we're actively testing. We plan to roll out in September. And so you can organize your data by area or by division, or even by, for example, your purchase order status, on multiple conditions. For example, if I want to look at different areas, what my purchase order are, so that I make sure that everything is ordered per the schedule of construction planning, and you can basically add multiple conditions of grouping the data. And another improvement with this new interface is that you can actually directly take some actions on certain items. A lot of us has asked for the ability, for example, to insert a new line in a particular position, so that doesn't have to be on the top, and you have to, in the past, you have to manually move them to a certain role. So with this new interface, you can use this universal menu. You can add a new item within the position you want. You can also do all the actions you're familiar with, such as like update your clipper, add some things with the library, replace a particular item as library, and open up as a new page, etc. So I believe the new interface will make things much easier for you to do larger projects. So, so those are the things that we have rolled out in the past few months, as well as this coming couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. And then we can also talk about what we're going to focus on in the remaining of the year. So let me go to this particular screen. So for Q4, our focus is collaborations. Collaborations for our users with the clients, their suppliers in the value engineering and quote comparison process, as well as, for example, with architects, Revit, or with the contractor through Procore integration and Zero integration with accountants. And so the first thing is the client proposal. So we do have a client invoice function, but obviously a lot of users are asking the step in the middle, which is to generate a client proposal and send to the client for approval. So now I'm giving you a sneak peek of what the new proposal function will look like. It has a similar feel as the client invoice, but you can create a proposal in the draft stage first, send it to a client to get approval, and also directly generate a invoice once the client give you the approval to do that. And then the other items are value engineering and request for quotes. Some of the users have tried our request for quotes feature to invite their suppliers to put the pricing as well as upload some documents. And that module is a little bit dated, so we're actively working with some power users as well as suppliers in our network to make the collaborations for suppliers to provide value engineering, and also for our buyers to compare the quotes in a much efficient way. One of the feature we are planning is improve our clipper so that you can use our clipper not just on a product web page, but also on a PDF file that, for example, a quote listing from the supplier or particular product catalog PDF file from the suppliers, and pull some information more efficiently to Folio's dashboard. And then, so Revit, we plan to roll Revit some point in November so that you can get all the area location mapping as well as some important quantity counts and preliminary space volume information into Folio. For those who are using Procore, if you're a contractor, use Procore, or you work with contractor with Procore, we are also targeting different integrations with them. One is the budget, because in our platform, you can view a lot more detailed budgets with granularity to the material level. And so that's very important for someone to also share the data with some of the builders or owners they're working with. And then the other is Zero. So we will work on the Zero integrations for those who are based in outside of the US. It's a very popular accounting tool. And so this really helped them to work with the accounting team and to make sure that data is in sync. So that's all the features we have rolled out and we're actively working on. I'm happy to start a Q&A. So for those who have a question, please feel free to type in the chat and we will answer the questions one by one.
Yep. So we already have one for from Amy Moore, actually. And she is asking, can you please share how to track budgets based on division?
Sure. So let me resume sharing. So in the cost analysis, cost analysis. So you can look at it by the area. You can also look at it by division. And then if you have division set up already, then this is a place that you can type in how much you want to allocate for each division. And then their all division row will show how much altogether you have allocated. You can compare it again with your total project budget. And so after you finish that, when you start doing the different specs and plannings, you can come to this cost analysis to see, okay, if there's anything that's out of line. We also plan to make the cost budget you have allocated to a certain divisions show up on the actually somewhere here, so that, for example, if I allocated $100,000 for wood, plastic, and composite, when I'm selecting this particular divisions and work on that division, that number will show up always on the left-hand side. So this is something that we'll plan to include in the phase 2 of cost analysis improvement. Does that answer your question?
All right, so while we are waiting for Amy to answer that, we do have a question from Miriam. Does the platform offer solutions for projects with multiple currencies? And if not, what other solutions are there?
Um, so, uh, so you actually can insert a column called currency column. So I think we have one already. So let me try. Yeah. So you can create a column called currency. Let's see if there's one. Here we go. And then you can also add a column called exchange rate, and then create a formula. So for example, yeah, you have to enrich this list. Right now, start with 0, but you can definitely add the currency that you want to use for this particular project. And then you can add a column called FX rate with the FX rate of that currency to across against your, how to say, client currency, and then create a formula to calculate your client total or budget cost accordingly.
Yep.
If for this one, for the consideration of time, I recommend you to message us on the live chat or reserve a 15-minute session so we can show you some example of how what we have seen other users have been using it.
Okay. All right. So Amy says, yes, that answers her question. And she does have a follow-up, which is there a way to hide the budget information if you are in a client meeting?
So I recommend you take advantage of the face function, um, and it is external sharing if you want. So you can create, for example, let me go to this design. I can create a separate template called, I can duplicate this template and then just remove the number that you don't want to show. For example, if there's a number you don't want to show, you just remove that in this new template. And then when you share with a client, so you can share your entire project, and you select which template you want to share with. So, I do have actually external approval templates. So I'm going to share the external approval templates with my clients. You can also decide which view to share. If your client is familiar with Excel table, you can probably share this table view. Otherwise, you can also consider sharing grid view that has larger images, probably more visually pleasing and appealing. And then, so whatever they see will be controlled by you. So if in this particular template, you don't have a certain number you don't want to show, they're not going to see it. So yeah, I strongly recommend play around with different faces options. That's how you want to present or organize the data, as well as sharing with your any external collaborators such as clients or even suppliers and mobile users. They even share selected items. For example, they can select a few items with the certain suppliers and then configure what access the supplier would have in this role and access, and have them directly actually contribute in the specification process.
All right. Thank you, Vivian. Any other questions from you guys?
I do see actually oh, okay, Marian actually asked that question separately already. So if there are no more questions, or you feel you prefer to discuss with us on a one-on-one basis and give us some feedback on the features we're working on or the features that you have experienced so far, we really much appreciate. You can message us on the live chat or book a time with us. And on the new features we're working on, if any of them particularly interests you, because something that you have been looking for a long time, we would love to connect you with the product designer who is working on that feature, and so that before a rollout, your wish list is being considered.
Right. remember, guys, that the changes that we are making, all of these are because you asked for them. So please let us know how we can make this better for you, and tell us what you would like to see. Don't be shy. And yeah, I guess that's all for today. Thank you again for spending time with us. And oh, we have one last question from Christine Clare. Can you tell us anything about the speed we are having some major lag times currently right now, Weibin?
Absolutely. So that's what I was mentioning earlier. We do notice that between 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern time is the time that the highest volume of users online, and so our developer recently add one more server. We plan to also add another server to take over some like function that's very heavy in terms of data processing, and we'll also change some of the front end, I would say, technology in terms of what data to load as the user are browsing, scrolling on the dashboard. So it's definitely on our highest priority. Someone who is specialized in backend is actively working on this couple of weeks.
Yep. Yep. Mm, okay, I guess that is all for today. Okay, I guess not. um,
Yeah, we're
let's
gonna
see.
email you, Miriam, to set up a longer one-on-one session, but you can also
Yes.
just message us on live help. This is probably the easiest way to get to us. And also, in case you haven't explored a help center, so help center is where there's a lot of new tutorials, new function release, and as well as a particular link for you to book a one-on-one session with us.
Yep. So Monica wants to know, can you have a purchase order with multiple suppliers?
If your question is, can you generate purchase order at once with multiple supplier? Then yes, that's something that we do have on our improvement list. Is that what you're referring to? That you want to generate purchase order once for multiple suppliers, but each supplier have their own purchase order, of course.
Um, let's see. So Monica says yes. Like, let's clarify that a little bit. Did you want to create a single purchase order with multiple suppliers, or did you want to be able to create multiple POs for different suppliers all at once?
Yeah, I would say that the first scenario, I don't think that is feasible, but we definitely have heard a lot of users ask for the second scenario.
Yeah, but Monica, let us okay, yeah. So a single purchase order but with multiple suppliers. Um Personally, it's the first time I've heard of that type of scenario, and yeah, like Queen said, it's not really something that seems feasible at the moment, but um let us know when you have time for a longer call and we can talk to you, and we can discuss this particular ask. Thank you. Um, all right, anyone else? We do have a little bit more time left.
So question for Amy. Yeah, so yeah, Amy, your question is exactly the second scenario we described. So that one, yes, is feasible. It's definitely something on our to-do list to create multiple purchase orders from different suppliers within the same division. That's Amy's question. Okay, if there's no more questions, we're gonna wrap up this webinar today. And then, so appreciate your time again joining us and also the great questions. Do reach out whenever you need some help online, and we look forward to hearing from you again.
All right. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us today, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.